Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And this is my buddy Puccini, who helps me in the craft room. He's the best thing I ever did. I just enjoy the heck out of him. And I'm starting to put pictures of him up on my blog. Another one to go up this week. The card I have for you today, actually it's 3 cards that I have for you today. What I did was I pulled out the Sun Prints paper and just started kind of messing around with it, and I came up with the idea that I would show you using, there's such pretty prints in that paper, that I might show the use of prints when mixed together because they can be so much fun, and the paper does most of the heavy lifting for you. These cards make up particularly well, I think, for masculine cards, and I try to do a masculine card a month, and this one I think works for masculine cards. And so I have 3 examples I'm going to show you and explain to you what I did to make each kind of example. So let's just get started. Okay, here is the Sun Prints, or the Nature's Prints stamp set that goes with the Sun Prints suite. And I love the fonts on these. I used Hello There, and then I also used 2 from here, which is Happiness Abounds. I used the Congratulations, and I used Wishing You All the Happiness You Can Imagine. And so those are the sentiments that I used on my cards. And then let me show you a little bit about this paper. And I thought about, some people are quite hesitant to mix prints, don't know what the rules are for putting prints together and mixing them up. Well, what I want to tell you is that when you're working with Stampin' Up! Material, they've already done the hard work by putting prints together that work in conjunction with one another. So this is pretty much all I have left of that one page where there's a design that comes down here in the corner, and then most of it is blank, and I'll show you how I use that. This one I wasn't sure of, so I only ordered 1 package of paper, and my new box hasn't come, where I've got lots more of this stuff coming. But what I wanted to show you was that these are some of the prints. This is the reverse side of this. This one is this in reverse, or this one. And you'll see that there's both a lighter and a darker piece to that. Let's see, this one is this very sparse, wheaty looking pattern with these beautiful, almost like droplets pattern in here. This one is stripes, which one could use this way or this way. In this case, I used it this way, and it's got this kind of splotchy thing. And I think out of all of these, the only pieces that I didn't use was this side. And I probably could have if I'd have kept going. But I came up with 3 cards, and I thought 3 cards would be good because we'll have Father's Day coming up sometime soon, and we're always looking for a good card that would work for either a man or a woman. And these 3 will all work for masculine cards. But what I wanted to particularly note is that there's very little risk in mixing the prints that Stampin' Up! Puts together for you, because they've already matched them for you. And so we have lots of prints that kind of go together. In fact, this one is kind of that orchid looking color that's the new in color. And that's on the back side of this one that has that design that's kind of in the corner. But I used the very dark upper part that was quite blank. And well, let me just show you what I did here. So I've got 3 cards, and I called this Mixing with Patterns. This is the first one I did. And I cut that one sheet that had the design that kind of is in the corner, and I cut this piece And this piece is right at 2 inches wide. So I did 2 inches by 5, I believe. Yes, 2 inches by 5. And then I used this pattern. I put this one on a navy blue card base, but the blue was different than the dark blue in here. So that piece that was dark, that was up in the corner there, that had nothing on it, I cut that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and layered that on top of my Night of Navy. See, if I put the Night of Navy here, how much lighter the Night of Navy is than that. It's more this color. So on this one, I just put that blank one behind here to get a perfect match for that darker blue that's in that paper. Then I cut these pieces, and I cut this, I'm going to call it a droplet piece, and I cut those pieces 1 1/4 inch by 5 inches, because this piece, the piece on the background here, is 4 by 5 1/4, and this piece that's behind it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so pretty much a quarter sheet of a regular piece of cardstock, but it's the designer series paper. I hope that's clear. The very dark piece that where there's almost nothing on it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's layered on top of my Night of Navy piece. Then this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Then all of these pieces here, these 3 pieces, are cut 1 1/4 inches by 5 inches, and I just laid them down and adhered them to this piece and spaced them out, and then put this piece, which is 2 inches by 5 1/4, here and made it come to the margin, and then I kind of messed with the spaces in between to get those to come out right. Then I used some white twine to go around that whole piece behind this piece here, this kind of tan. I don't know what color that would be. I think it's just crumb cake. And then I used white embossing powder, and I used another piece of this dark paper from this designer series paper, found a piece that was completely blank, and put my congratulations on it and embossed it in white, and then put another piece of this paper behind that, and then another piece of string across here. And then the embellishments that I used are these. They're called the Elegant Faceted Gems. I was afraid these were going to retire, but they're in the new catalog, so these are good. And I love this milky white one that's here. These are fun too because they're kind of clear, so they'll have a tendency to pick up whatever color is in your background. But I wanted the milky white on here because of the way this pattern's all worked. Anyway, so that one says congratulations. It could say happy birthday. It could say happy anniversary. It could say happy Father's Day. It could say any number of things. And then the inside, I used a piece of white, 4 by 5 1/4. Then another piece of that designer series paper. In fact, it's you can see this little thing here. And then I used this stamp out of the Nature's Prints, this one, in my white craft ink and put some images around. And then I used this one to put that little thing in the corner. And it's kind of fun to do the negative and the positive between the white and the Night of Navy. And I'm really pleased with the results on this one. This little piece of paper ends up being, let me tell you what it is. It is 2.5 by, looks like 4 1/4. And then this piece of designer series paper I cut so that it would give a nice wide border on the white. And that piece is cut 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then just put this so we'd have a place to write our sentiment there. But isn't that pretty? I love the way that came out. So that is the first one, and I wanted to show that one first because it's got all of the patterns that I used in different ways for these 3 cards. So the next card that I made was this one. And this one, I used another piece of that same designer series paper that had a lot of the pattern already on it. That piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Then I used, let's see, the first layer behind is this paper. And that is, I think, 1 inch. Yep, 1 inch by 5 1/4. And then I used another piece of the back side of this paper in more of that orchid color, because that orchid color is in here. And I did that at 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4. And then this very little pattern that is this pattern here, and that is a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. Then I used some of the white twine right up the center. And then this paper here, I cut out just big enough to, I stamped my image, wishing you all the happiness you can imagine, and then used my trimmer to trim it to fit. So that piece ends up being, looks like right at 2 inches by 1 1/4. And then those same milky gems, the elegant faceted gems, here on this card. And on the inside, I used another piece of this same designer series paper where the pattern was getting sparser and sparser, and made a 4 by 5 1/4. This part is completely blank. So I cut my piece of white here, and this one is 2 inches by 5 inches. And then I stamped a little of the Night of Navy on it. So again, you have the positive and negative kind of colors there. And I think this makes a lovely masculine card. And this one says, wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. But again, it could say Happy Father's Day. It could say Happy Birthday. It could say congratulations. It could say anything you'd like. But that was another one using mostly the blue with a little bit of the brown accents. So I thought that the third card might best be done with more of the brown with the blue accents. So I cut this busier designer series paper, 4 by 5 1/4 for the background piece here. I did this one on a Night of Navy, and this one obviously I did on a basic white. Then I cut this piece here, this pattern paper that's in this, and I cut it to be, it looks like 2 inches by 5 1/4. And so then I cut another piece of this plainer brown to go on either side of it. So it is cut 2 1/4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I just cut 2 1/4 inch strips, 1/4 inch by 5 1/4, to go on either side of that, just so that there would be a difference between this paper and this paper. Then I used the postage stamp punch and put my hello there from this stamp right there, and then centered that on there. I used a dauber with a little bit of Night of Navy ink to go around the edges on that one. And I did sort of half a bow, and I thought I would show exactly what I did to do that. So I've got a little piece of twine here, and what I did was I made a big loop, and then I just went around and pushed it through. So like this, kind of like half a bow, and pulled this piece up. And there we go. That's how I got this piece. And I put a glue dot there, and I put a glue dot just a little bit above it so that these two pieces would stay pulled together. And then I just shredded, let me get this the way I want it. I made one leg a little bit longer and one a little bit shorter. and you can use your take a pick tool or a pick tool, whatever you happen to have, and I just went through the fibers of this and pulled it apart, and then put down, once I got them sort of combed out the way I wanted them. Takes a little bit of untwisting to get them to go the way you want, but just keep messing with it until the fibers come all apart. And then I put a couple of glue dots down here, and as I had them and kind of kept shredding them apart, and I think on this what I ended up doing was just trimming like that so that I got that kind of a look, and then put some glue dots down underneath there to just stick some of these ends on so that's not moving around too much. Then I put one piece of twine here on this piece just so that it wouldn't be lonely there on the front by itself. And then the inside, I used a piece of this lightly patterned paper. It almost looks like there's writing on it. See if I can tell. Yeah, it looks like there's a very, very, very faint white writing on that mottled pattern there. And then I stamped some of the navy blue. Again, these same two stamps, this one and this one, here in the corner so that you could add your sentiment. Now this hello there will work for all kinds of things, because it could say hello, hello here, and then on the inside it could say have a great birthday. It could say, you know, you're my North Star, happy Father's Day. It could say anything. And then on this piece, what I did is I used this and I stamped off 3 times, put it in Night of Navy, and then put it down so I got kind of almost like a little watermark image on this one. And that's all I did with that. And then the embellishments on this one came from our Rhinestone Waves Basic Jewels, because I thought that blue worked particularly well. I think this white would have worked there as well, or the clear. Any one of those would work, but I wanted to use something different, so I used the one from Waves. So this is just a quick demonstration about how easy it is to use patterns, particularly if you're working with Stampin' Up! Material, because they do all of the coordinating for you by putting things, patterns, and colors and patterns together that will work together. So there's very little risk. And you can see I use just all kinds of crazy things in here. And so this is meant as a guide. Go from here and go crazy. Try your own bunches of patterns and see how they come out. So that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. There's a great join offer going right now. It's up on my blog. What the offer is, it is $125 worth of product for $99 plus an extra $66.50 in the new In Color cardstock, ink, designer series paper, and grid paper. And so you get a wonderful beginning to all of the new In Colors in a join offer, and it'll go through the entire month of May. Now my prize draw for the month of May, as it is for my customers and subscribers, is a $60 shopping spree on me, and all you have to do to put yourself in the drawing is put an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. You can put it, or you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. So that's it for me, and I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!